as old man fans always talk about how much movies suck these days, et cetera, and so forth, it's easy to say the cinema's dead, fuck the whole thing, moving on. I like the movies that I like, but I'm just, it's too painful to hang on to it too tightly when you're constantly being disappointed. But I have to push back on that impulse or that emotion, because there have been so many times throughout history where people have declared the death of cinema, and they've always proven to be wrong. Obviously, the cinema's been around since roughly 1895. I mean, you can also point to that original Muybridge short with the jockey on the horse, etc.
Fred Something Sneeze is one of those first.
Yeah, but even as far back as 1895, people were declaring the death of cinema when one of the Lumiere brothers said the cinema's an invention without a future. And a lot of silent directors in the 20s thought it was dead with the arrival of sound. A lot of actors thought it was dead with the arrival of sound. A lot of people thought it was dead with the arrival of TV in the late 40s, early 50s. And a lot of people thought it was dead with the arrival of cable TV and VHS, which leads into streaming, et cetera, and so forth. Even Peter Greenaway said there's evidence already that cinema's dying on its feet as far back as 1995. So we are not the first to bring up this topic. Long live the cinema, or cinema is dead? What do you think?
No, I'm going to answer with a paradox, because as somebody who participated in the democratization of filmmaking, the idea that in the late 90s and early 2000s, two things jumped into fans' hands, right? You had the ability of DV video became affordable, consumer electronics, made the ability for people to not just record anything, but actually record decent images. You can actually exercise cinematography.
You could shoot like Wong Kar-wai for very little money.
Then something people don't talk enough about is the invention of non-linear editing, non-destructive non-linear editing, NLEs, which is Premiere Pro, Final Cut. The software changes the game. You're not working on Steambecs anymore. Steambeck, I forget what the hell the machine's called.
Out of my lane.
Moviola, yeah. The idea that you're not cutting film, it's non-destructive, it is all aliasing media inside.
The democratization of the technology.
Yeah, but you need both of those things together. You need the ability to catch, you need the ability to cut. And all of a sudden, you've opened the world of making film beyond lab costs, stamping film, splicing pieces of celluloid together.
I call it the era of no excuses, because in the 90s, people said, you got to get your foot in the door, you got to pay your dues, you got to climb the ranks. 21st century, that's eradicated.
It is. So what you have is the ability, the tools of making film has been placed in everybody's hands. If you want it, all you need to do is familiarize yourself and begin to learn how to use a camera, to begin to learn how to use software. Now, what that means is that is the absolute flattening, the steamrollering of all gatekeeper jobs that were left over. At that point, it doesn't matter anymore who is in charge of giving you. No one can tell you, no. I know you made a short film, but no. And it's like, no, fuck that. My short film's going to go up on Vimeo. My short film's going to go up in a film festival. I'm going to put it on YouTube. After 2007, you say YouTube comes into the mix. But
Josh Trank, that's how he got discovered before Chronicle. And obviously, I do not like Josh Trank's movies. However, he made a stupid short about kids at a high school brawl that whip out lightsabers. And Fox called him like, who are you? Where's this coming from? Let's do Chronicle. Let's do Fantastifour, whatever you want to call it for that abomination that he created out of Marvel's first family. He got discovered through making a short, which just shows there, once again, no more gatekeepers.
There are gatekeepers, but they're irrelevant. I think one of the reasons why print in all its forms is kind of like dying in front of us too is because they still believe in gatekeepers. The idea that there's still editors and there's still publishers like Graydon Carter. He's not there anymore, but the idea that these guys, this is my magazine, I have this ridiculous hair, and so I'm going to say what happens in New York because I'm the doyen of society. That's bullshit. We're not going to play that game anymore. The thing is, though, as you destroy gatekeepers, as you proliferate exhibition, as you proliferate the idea of anyone can get their hands on a lens, learn how to use a prime lens, learn how to use editing software, what it means is that there is a 35,000-mile-long blast crater that you're inside of, like in Mexico when the frickin' comet hit the Earth, and that everything is stuck in this huge caldera, right? Now, you can't get seen from the guy next to you and the 2,000 people ahead of you. It is a gigantic, writhing pit of noise.
Oh, yeah, white noise, yeah.
It's white noise. And so that, ironically...
Which we're contributing to with this video.
Right. No one asked for this. No one wants it. We're giving it to them anyway. This is precisely the last thing the landscape needs. People now are fighting against the drumbeat, the din of white noise.
The attention economy.
Well, it is in some ways. And so the problem is that, this goes back to the idea, is cinema dead? No, not at all. There are more people practicing cinema in fucking strange places that you would have never thought. Do you think that we could have gotten kick-ass martial arts movie from, was it Jakarta? Was it Malaysia? Kuala Lumpur? Where did the raids come from?
Oh, were they? I thought they were Indonesia. But,
Indonesia, yeah. I'm saying it's like not all just martial arts just because it's Asia. But I'm saying,
But you don't get The Night Comes for Us and all these.
Yes.
The best action movies in the world, Southeast Asia by far.
Joe Weirsethical, who makes all those movies that I can't stand. You know, Uncle Boo and Me, Marcus Pin favorite. You know,
yeah.
But it's like again, that's the plurality of voices. Where if movies didn't do what they did, if cinema hadn't been democratized, cameras wouldn't have spilled all over Bangkok and Thailand, and he wouldn't have come to the United States. I think he went to University of Chicago to study film. He's a little older than we are, but I mean, the idea that all this the non-traditional venues, people are making movies with all these different cultural backgrounds, all these influences that, you know, cinema is healthy as ever. There's an amazing amount of stuff.
Some kids, I believe in Ghana, did a recreation of the trailer for Extraction that went viral. It was the exact same trailer, shot for shot, but just done by kids in Ghana. And Chris Hemsworth retweeted it, and people lost their minds. But it was absolutely fabulous. But if you look at the early days of movies in like late 1800s, early 1900s, a lot of them were like how to take a bath, how to kiss, like pretty rudimentary, basic things that were played
I
arcade.
should have watched those.
But they're exactly, but they're very similar to a lot of like babies kissing cat videos on YouTube and that sort of thing. But I was listening to a podcast last night with Bret Easton Ellis, and he was talking about the second season of Euphoria, where Sam Levinson wrote and directed every single episode. They shot it on film, and it feels dangerous, and it feels electric, and it feels alive. You're talking about auteur-driven storytelling on HBO, which is just a gorgeous, immersive, exciting, provocative experience no matter where you're coming from. Clearly, cinema's not dead. If the season finale of season 2 had 18 million views on HBO, which is like a Game of Thrones level success.
So this is a red herring. You asked me this question because you already had an answer to it the whole time.
Never ask a question if you don't already have an answer prepared. I just ask people questions about topics that I want to talk about. So
eventually it went back to
But as I was listening to that last night, I was like, yeah, of course cinema's not dead. If you have an auteur director, son of Barry Levinson, but if you look at his early stuff, Assassination Nation, or even the first season of Euphoria, where he wrote every episode but he only directed a handful, he's learning from his errors as he goes, and he was ready for season 2. I think as long as there are auteurs on a grand platform making lush, sumptuous storytelling, cinema, alive and well.
I agree, Roger. You're absolutely correct. I think cinema exists in all sorts of strange places, or people don't give it credit. We can sit here and rail on YouTube for destroying attention spans. This is a separate topic, but I think that the amount of filmmaking, the amount of skill that is chipped away at, compartmentalized, bundled and boxed into these small little packages, or even something as simple as ASMR videos, which I love. That is cinema.
Are we going to finish the shoot creating some ASMR?
I'm going to whisper into these microphones over time.
Start caressing the microphone.
I got to put a peppermint in my mouth later.
Whispering.